Hello, you're listening to Oops Spoilers. This is a Those Other Girls Media production. On this podcast slash YouTube video channel thing that you're watching on, we talk about books, movies, and TV shows, and I give a TOG score and talk about what was good, what was not good. I explain it, and as the title implies, there will be spoilers. I want you to know now that there will be spoilers, so in the middle of the day, I won't have to say, oops, spoilers. Okay, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. I will pick up something cleverer than that in the future to say. I'm just trying to figure out how to incorporate, like, something. I don't want to have to say, oops, spoilers. You guys sound off in the comments. Tell me what you think I should say instead. Okay, so let's get started. Today's episode, I am recapping, reviewing the movie Do Revenge. Okay. Very interesting movie. I had a lot of emotions. I have a lot of thoughts. The score while I was watching it, like what I was thinking about I would give it as a score, continued to change. At one point, I was like, okay, it's going to get this score. Another point, I was like, no, I'll probably give it this score. Another point, I was like, no, I'll give it this score. And it's just changed throughout the entire time. So, here we go. I'm going to try to, no, I'll just go through. So if you have not seen the movie yet and you plan on seeing it and you don't want it to be spoiled, go ahead and stop here. You can watch some of the other movies and TV shows that we've reviewed. I'm saying we again. I eventually am going to have someone else come on and do this with me as well. We just gotta find people whose schedules align with mine. Until then, it's just moi. Okay, so here we go. Everyone hold on because, oops, spoilers. Okay, so what I like to do first is give you guys a description from IMDb of what the movie is about. One sentence. Drea and Eleanor agree to go after one another's bullies. I think that is the best way to describe it without really saying the full extent of what happened. It is essentially part strangers on a train, part Mean Girls, part what? One thing I will say from the beginning, I'm not sure what lesson was learned. The way it ends, which I'll go through the whole movie. The way it ends, I wasn't quite sure what we were supposed to be learning from the characters. I think I know. I'm gonna go through it, and when I talk it out, maybe I'll come to what it was. But for the most part, the lesson was not clear. Okay, here we go. So it's essentially about the two characters, like I said, Drea and Eleanor. And before I go into like the full movie, I want to talk about the cast. One of the most attractive casts I have ever seen in my entire life for the movie. Similar to The Outer Banks, which is funny because Jonathan Davis from The Outer Banks, he plays Pope. He is on the show, and I kept thinking, like, this, like, they're all, it's like young, attractive Hollywood was all in the movie. Let me tell you some of the names. As you guys know, the two main characters, I'm sure you've seen the trailer by now. Two main characters, Drea was played by Camila Mendes, who, as you guys know, is Veronica from Riverdale. And I want to make this note. So she's supposed to be playing this, like, poor scholarship kid. I find that hilarious because the way she dressed, the way she talked, did not give off poor scholarship kid, which is probably the point. But I just can never see her being, like, poor. Like Addison, if you guys watched He's the Man, Addison Rae's character was supposed to be kind of poor, and I can kind of get that from her. Camila Mendes, I don't know if it's just I've seen too much Veronica, was not buying that she was poor pretending to be rich. Addison, I bought poor pretending to be rich. Camila Mendes could not buy it. And then Maya Hawke, who plays Robin from Stranger Things, was on it. So that was crazy. So let me tell you who else was in it. Sophie Turner, Mrs. Jonas, Joe Jonas's wife, was in it. She was not in it that much. But the girl who played Noah in Pretty Little Liars was in it. The second Pretty Little Liars Original Sin was in it. And like I said, Jonathan Davis, who plays Pope, was in it. And Alicia Bowe, who plays Jessica from 13 Reasons Why, was in it. So it was just, I'm looking at the cast to make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Somebody from, I saw someone said somewhere from Euphoria was in it. Don't watch Euphoria, don't care about the show. I mean, I care about the show in the sense, like, I want it to be better. I want better for it. I want better for Zendaya, but don't watch the show. So I don't know who, nor do I care who was on the show. But the point is, it was like young Hollywood. Like, this was a good young Hollywood who's the up and coming Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie's, maybe not to that extent, but just the regular actors. Because when we were younger, there were people who were just like regular actors, like they were regularly in things that we saw. And I feel like this movie was that, but for young people. But it was really cool. Like, I like seeing, like, ooh, she was in this, she was in that. Me and my dad do that. My mom and my brother, I can tell, get kind of annoyed, but me and my dad will do that when we're watching anything. We'll be like, oh, he was in, no, was that in? Everybody pause the movie. Anyway, so that's how it starts off. So, it starts off with the star-studded cast. I thought the acting was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I guess it was good, but it wasn't exceptional. Perfect example, if you listen to the last episode about Don't Worry, Darling. Florence Pugh, excellent. Excellent actress. I wouldn't say any of them are on that level, but also, too, I wouldn't necessarily say that this movie brought out that type of acting in general. Basic plot is a mixture, like I said, of Mean Girls and Strangers on the Plane. And kind of reminded me a little bit of A Simple Favor, almost. Those just kind of seemed a little... like, they kind of are in the same category. If you like those movies, I think you would find this one interesting. Okay, so to start off, we meet Drea, Camila Mendes, and we learn a little bit about who she is. And we learn that she is, like, on scholarship at this really nice school. It's called Rose Hill Country Day School, which is so funny because I grew up in Charlotte and there's a Charlotte Country Day School, and like those were all the rich people, like the rich non-Christians, because like the school I went to, oh my goodness, you guys, full of tons. Anyway, there were so many rich people at high school. I learned that we were not rich. We weren't poor, but we certainly were not rich. Anyway, so okay, so long story short, it starts off with that, and then it kind of just goes right to the beginning. We see how Drea is very popular, she's pretty, she's this, she's that, and then, but we also find out, they make it clear that she is the poor scholarship girl. She's dating this really cool guy, and this guy convinces her to send him a video. Ladies listening, I don't care how good of a boyfriend he is, do not send a guy a nude video or a nude picture. I'm sorry, I do not care how, he's not going to share it. I don't care. Do not send these men these. Guys, save them and share them. That is a fact. If he's asking you for it, that means he's going to send it to somebody or share it. Stop thinking that your guy is better than that, because he's not. If he's asking you for it, he's going to share it and he's going to send it. The guy you're talking to is not better. Okay. So, the video goes out, and it's, to me, it's not obvious that it's him. For a second, I kind of believed that it wasn't him, which I guess maybe was the whole point. But it seems to have been him. that he sent the video out to their whole school. So, she's viewed as a pariah. And you know how people are when someone's sex tape comes out. And she's going to this really nice, rich school. So then she, and it's like a country day school. So, it's private school and everything. So they're essentially saying, like, okay, what, and the big thing is she punches, the guy at school, and his parents are huge donors, blah, blah, blah. He's the golden boy. So she punches him. She ends up punching him, right? She gets on probation, and then we fast forward to summer. So summer happens, and she's at this little tennis country club, and we find out that some of the other girls have seen the tape, and she's just gets really upset, and then she ends up getting one of the girls. She's like, I guess, plants coke on one of the girls, and that was like talking about her. That's kind of like her bully. We're still Andrea. That's kind of like her bully, and sorry, that's kind of her bully, and she has to go to rehab. Well, around that time, when we get to the tennis court, that's where we meet Eleanor. Eleanor is over at the tennis place doing the tennis where Drea is. Drea is staff. Eleanor is not, because Eleanor is rich. And Eleanor is like trying to, hey, Drea, I'm so-and-so. Like, hey, trying to get to know you. Like, what's up? Doing all this stuff. And Drea's kind of like, okay, she's not interested. Well, Drea tries to go back home. Her car does not work. Eleanor is like, hey, I can give you a ride. So they get in the car and they're talking. And Eleanor describes she's going back to school. And she's going to go to a new school. And it happens to be Drea's school. So they're driving and they get to know each other. Eleanor is like low-key weird. I don't know if you guys saw that movie with the girl from Shake It Up. Let me look it up really quick. The girl from Shake It Up was in this movie. And I should review. I wonder if it's still this Bella Thorne is her name. I wonder if it's still on what you call it. If it's still on Netflix. She was in this movie, filmography. Oh, she's been in a lot. I didn't realize that. Okay, sis. Is it I Still See You? Let me see. No. Wait, let me just make sure. I'm sorry, you guys. She has a separate filmography page because Homegirl has been in movies. I was not aware that she was doing all this. She was in what? You Get Me. That's the name of it. You Get Me. Let me tell y'all. Weird movie. But Bella Thorne is in it. But anyway, so Homegirl, Eleanor is giving kind of like the You Get Me vibes. She's like kind of sad. She's talking about, I feel like she's like oversharing. She's talking a little bit about yeah, she has a therapist and blah 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 and all this other stuff. Well, she tells the story of this girl she went to school with that she had a crush on, and she ends up telling the girl she had a crush on, and the girl who she had a crush on made up this whole rumor that like she forced herself onto the girl. She made up the rumor that she forced herself onto the girl, and she said like it wasn't. The problem isn't that like she outed me. The problem was that she made me seem like a predator, which I think is a very good point. Like, yeah. Also, too, this is like, I wonder if Maya Thurman or Maya Hawke is she's Uma Thurman. Y'all know who I'm trying to say. That's her daughter. With Ethan Hawke. I wonder if Maya is gay, because like this is like the second character she's played that's a lesbian. That's just a side note. So this was years ago, and I'm sorry, I said school was actually a summer camp. Well, so what they decide, they eventually they go back to school, and which is weird to me, like this happens, like Drea is not really accepted by her friends anymore. They're kind of like, we're not really interested in you. And they're like the queen, like the top tier kingdom. It's all of these really hot people, and like they wear their uniform really cute. The uniform was actually like super cute. They wear their uniform really cute, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, just hot and existing. And the main guy and supposedly her best friend, who is Jessica from 13 Reasons Why, they actually started dating over the summer. Okay, remember that. So it's just kind of like weird, like, okay, I guess. And they decide, so she gets all upset and she's crying, and she ends up meeting up with Eleanor in the bathroom, and Eleanor's uncomfortable because the girl who said all that stuff about her at summer camp is at the school too, at the new school. So they're in the bathroom and they're talking, and they're like, well, how about we do revenge on each other's bullies? People don't know we're friends. So like the person who's bothering me, I'll do the revenge on them. The person who's bothering you, I'm sorry, the person who's bothering me, you'll do revenge on them. The person who's bothering you, I'll do revenge on them. So then they're like, okay. Like, this was Drea's idea. Then Eleanor was like, okay, I guess. So, and then I think this is the time she makes a crack, like, are you in therapy? And she goes, no, why? And then and it's just, to me, that's just so funny, because it's like, girl, clearly needs some therapy. So they're trying to figure out how to do it. And they make, Drea makes such a good point. She's like, it's easy to get revenge on a girl, which it is. I like when she really broke it down, she was like, you know, you can attack their looks, their status, their this, like just feminine type things. It's hard to get revenge on a boy. And it was like, how do we go about this? So they're trying to figure it out, and they're just say, okay, let's see how we do it. So the biggest way for them to get revenge is for Eleanor to do a makeover. So they do a whole makeover scene. They do dye her hair, cut her hair, dye her hair, get her into some better looking clothes, which, I mean, it's a stark difference. And then they have her come to school, and she looks different. Oh, I forgot to say. So when she came, her tour guide was another lesbian girl. So, you know, if there's two lesbian girls in a movie, Chekhov's gun, they have to get together. Okay, that's kind of funny. I hope no one don't get your knickers in a bunch over that line. That's actually really funny. So yeah, so that's just, remember that. So then at some point, so Eleanor ends up joining the cool clique. Well, that girl is actually the younger sister of the cool guy. So that's another thing too. So, which, you know, I feel like that's such a trope. So she's the younger sister of the cool guy. All right. So that's going on with Eleanor. And then, so what we're doing with, Drea is going to join the, like, gardening, the farm. I was going to say the gardening club, the farm, and help work on some of the farm environmental stuff. Because that's what, Carissa, that's the girl who was mean who made the rumor about Eleanor up, is Carissa. So Carissa is on the farm, so she's like, I'll just join the farm and then we'll figure out what we can do from there. So everybody has their respective places. Eleanor is going to the cool kids, infiltrating them, which gives me such Mean Girl vibes. And then Carissa is, then Drea is becoming friends with Carissa through the farming. Everybody's going about their life. Well, Eleanor eventually gets invited to the cool people's pool party. And she gets invited to the pool party, and she actually kind of has a good time. She has a moment with the sister. She does really cool things. And at the pool party, she discovers that the guy, his name is Max, Max is cheating on the girl that he's dating right now, which is Drea's ex-best friend, Tara, who was played by the girl from 13 Reasons Why. So, he is cheating on her with multiple girls. So they find this out, and he can't really get, she can't really get the phone yet. They're just trying to figure out, like, how to get to the phone. And then they have, like, a really weird scene, where the guy, he's like, oh, were you watch, like, they were about to have sex, but they didn't, which I will say there was no sex in this. Very good. Good job, Netflix. They were about to, but they didn't. And then she was hiding in the room because she thought she had heard Max and Tara coming up. It was uncomfortable. Okay, so now they have what they're going to do for Max. They're going to try to expose him for being a cheater. So have to figure out what it's going to do with Carissa. Well, that takes us. While she's at the party, Drea was at the beach, kind of sort of with Carissa, and she ends up getting the keys that Carissa has to her little shed. And turns out in her shed, she's growing mushrooms, like the like drugs mushrooms. So, okay, all right. So we know she's growing mushrooms. What is something normal you can do? Hi, police, 911. This girl is growing mushrooms. That's very narkish, but it's illegal and it can actually hurt people. So 911, let's do this, okay? That's what someone normal would do. Well, the girls decide at their ring ceremony to put the mushrooms in the soup. So they drug their entire senior class. So the whole senior class gets drugged. Everybody's like tripping out on their mushrooms and everything. And then Drea finally calls the principal and says that she's growing the mushrooms on the campus. She says an anonymous tip. And during this time, Eleanor gets Max's phone, takes all the data off of Max's phone, and puts it on her computer to figure out that Max is cheating. To figure out, like, how are we going to let people know that Max is cheating? So, and then they get the information. Turns out he was also cheating when he was dating Drea. So she's upset. And the girls are now becoming friends. Like, you can tell, like, before it was kind of just like, we're obligated, like, to do this because, you know, shared experience of being hurt by people. And now you can see throughout the movie, they're growing their friendship. Didn't really buy that they were friends. I'm going to be honest. That's why this will not get a 5 and this will not get a 4. I didn't really buy that they were friends because they were just so drastically, weirdly different. So yeah, they were just drastically, weirdly different. But, you know, they're trying to convey to us that their relationship is growing over the time. Well, they decide, remember they met over summer, so time is passing. They have the ring ceremony in the winter, and now Valentine's Day assembly happens. And Eleanor, during the middle of the Valentine's Day assembly, Eleanor sends a text to everybody about Max's cheating on Tara, right? Okay, let me look up what it is called really quick, because Max creates, this part is funny and clever to me, he creates a club to revenge Max club name. Okay, just tell me what the club name is called. It's called the Cis Hetero. Oh, gosh. Okay, everywhere, like when I said do revenge Max club name, right? All of these articles are like, where have you seen the cast? Where have you seen the cast? Where have you seen the cast? Okay. Oh, maybe I'll look at images. I'm so sorry, you guys. Um, wow, this is so weird because you would think that because it's so like funny. Here it is. The Cis Hetero Man Championing Female Identity Students League. Hilarious. Cis Hetero Men Championing Female Identifying Students League. So he created that because his thing was like, oh no, I'm so sorry that she was violated like that she, when her video went out, because Max still denies he's the one who sent out the video. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I'm going to start this club, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so during the Valentine's Day event, they send out the text explaining all that Max is doing with everybody, all of the girls that he's cheating with. Turns out he's cheating with all of the head leaders of all the cliques of the school. Well, they spin it. Tara and Max spin it, so they're a polyamorous couple. And it's like, okay, to me I'm sorry, polyamory is gross and weird. I just, don't normalize that. But they're also high schoolers. Well, at least supposed to be playing high schoolers. Because at one point at the party when the party that they had, when Elena first gets there, Max is like, do you want some champagne? And I'm like, you guys are 17. This is weird. So anyway, all this is happening, and it didn't really work because Max and Tara are now kind of like, oh, that's kind of, everybody's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Polyamorous, that's different. You know how it is in high school. So it kind of backfired. And at the same time, Drea finds out that she got rejected from Yale. And it's like, okay, we got to do more because somehow Yale found out about her video. And she's like, oh, this is Max. Max is trying to destroy me. Why is he trying to destroy me? So then they decide, she's like, all right, we'll expose them at this Ivy League party. It's called admissions party. That's what it's called, the admissions party. Okay. So this is admissions party that her school has. And it's unofficial. You drop your phones off at the door, right? And then the only way you can get in is your Ivy League admissions letter. So funny, so hilarious. And there's 4 really big schools in Charlotte that I can totally see, because they're kind of it wouldn't be for it to really be a good party, it would probably have to be from all 4 of those high schools. But there's 4 high schools in Charlotte that I can see totally having something like that. That's hilarious and weird to me. So they're like, Drea's like, well, Eleanor, you have to go to that party and you're going to expose all of them. Everybody's going to see how they really are. This is a reminder. And now Eleanor is really wanting a friend. She's a weirdo. She's weird. Something's all off about her. I thought that from the beginning when I first saw her. Something was a little off. So she's trying to be she's like, okay, well, tomorrow's my birthday. Can we go out or do something fun? And she's like, yeah, sure. Drea's like, yeah, sure. And Eleanor's kind of like, okay, I hope we can go out and have some fun. Long story short, the next day comes. Eleanor has a moment with that girl. I cannot remember her name, but she's Max's little sister. She has a moment with that girl, and then she goes back to her house, and lo and behold, her new friends have thrown her a surprise birthday party, which is really sweet. So that's happening. Well, I forgot to also mention while all this is happening, Drea is meeting a new boo. She met this guy at the farm place, and he's really cute. He's different. He has an English accent. I have no idea why, and his hair is dyed blue. He obviously is not like the other boys at the school. So they kind of hit it off. He's a painter. He takes her back to her place. She skips school one day, and he takes her back to her place, get this, on a motorcycle. It does feel a little cliche now that I'm saying some of it out loud. Takes her back to his place on a motorcycle. They have a cute little paint fight, and then they, hook up. Okay. So they're hooking up at, I guess, his house when she sees on Instagram that Eleanor has a birthday party at her house. So she's like, okay, she's like, okay, let me go back to, let me go to Eleanor's party and, like, mess this up. So Drea goes to Eleanor's party to embarrass her, and everybody's like, oh, we didn't know you guys knew each other. So then Drea's like, oh, show me around, like, I'm gonna blah blah blah, pulls her aside, and they get in a fight. And Eleanor essentially says she doesn't think that Max sent the video, and Drea's super upset. She's mad about it and everything. So she is like, so Drea's she's hurt, obviously, because, you know, she's been hurt by Max. And it seems like her friend, Eleanor, even though she didn't even remember Eleanor's birthday, it seems like her friend is being pulled in and then being accepted by the cool people. And it's just like, it doesn't feel good. Well, her car stops working. This is the part that I will say, like, this, you'll hear my wrestling between the two scores that I wanted to give it. This is what pushed it up. So she figures, her car is not working again. She's on the phone with the guy, and she's like, hey, can someone come out here and help me with this car? My car's messed up. And they were like, well, the person on the phone was like, well, okay, cool. Well, the last thing it was something was not connected. It's probably just one, and she was like, oh, or something was missing. Like, oh, well, how much is it? How much do those go by? Because she's thinking, like, someone took it out of her car to sell it. And the guy's like, $20. So she's like, wait, what? The guy's $20. And then he was like, yeah, someone probably took it out messing with you, like in a fun, goofy way. And I'm like, messing with someone's car, like, maybe that's what rich people do. Messing with someone's car is not like I'm gonna mess with your car. Like, that's the way he made it seem. And it's like, that's not how it works. So then, you guys, we find out that Eleanor has been playing Drea this entire time. This twist was like, okay, this is a good movie. This is a movie. That twist was like, okay. That's what pushes it up. So, turns out, Drea goes to visit Carissa and is trying to get some dirt. Just be like, okay, Eleanor played me. How did I not see this? Well, turns out Eleanor was known as Nora, and the story she told about Carissa, the story that Eleanor told about Carissa, is actually about Drea. She is the one who told the rumor about her, and Eleanor is just kind of trying to ruin her life. She is the one who sent the video to the girls at the tennis place. She is the one who talked to Yale and sent them that video. So it's like, what? So Drea comes back home and Eleanor is cooking. Eleanor says, I've been playing you all along. And she says the line something like, narcissists are too busy being into themselves that they don't know that they're being played. And that's what that's what Drea had said about Max at the beginning of the movie. So Eleanor's like, well, you're going to play along and continue doing this thing with me, or I'm going to frame your mother for drug possession as a nurse, which is very interesting because, because that's kind of something similar that happened on, the new Pretty Little Liars. I'm like, I wonder if this is like a new thing that you can do, like frame people, because I don't remember that being so like prevalent in movies and TV shows when I was a kid. So Drea's like freaking out, and Eleanor said that she told Russ, which is Drea's new boo, Eleanor said that she told him the truth, that Carissa was innocent in the sense of like she didn't poison everybody, but Drea did. So she's calling him and she's not paying attention, and Eleanor purposely hits Drea. So Eleanor is crazy. I'm sorry. Like by the end of the movie, I'm just going to tell you, by the end of the movie, they tried. I guess we're supposed to feel bad for her. We're supposed to like be cool. Eleanor is crazy. I mean, crazy. So she ends up going to the hospital, and that gains sympathy from all of her ex-friends. All of her ex-friends then invite her to the party. So everybody's at the party in the same clique. Eleanor and Drea are in the clique with all the pretty popular people. So they're all just kind of hanging out and just like laying out, like being like really hot in their clothes and everything. And like, Pope, the guy, Pope from the Outer Banks, I don't remember his name in the show. I mean, in the movie. I'm just gonna call him Pope. Pope's like, do you guys want to do some K? Like, yeah, let's do it. And then Drea's like, no, I don't want to. And Eleanor's like, no, like, don't be a narc. Come on, do it. And then Drea like says, oh, you remember, this is actually that Nora girl. She's weird. She does everything like this. And she like embarrasses her. And she gets it like, and Eleanor/Nora gets embarrassed and like runs off. And I just like that's just not consistent in her character. This girl is a weirdo mastermind. Why is she being so hurt and embarrassed over that? Well, Drea apologizes. She admits that the only time she's had fun was when they were together. She's her only real friend. So then Max comes and sees, he's like, oh, wow. So, and he brings the phone and he's like, okay, I see that you drugged everyone and I'm going to expose you, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, no, we're going to expose you. So they actually recorded the whole conversation. So they recorded the whole conversation, run back to the party and play it, where he says that he has been cheating, he doesn't care, and that he is like the top dog, blah, blah, blah. But remember, he's supposed to be the cis, hetero, male championing female identity, women league president or something like that. So, it looks bad. And then that's it. Like, that's it, pretty much. To wrap it up, the girls of the school don't like him anymore. Drea has another opportunity to go to Yale, but she rejects it to go to the Peace Corps. And she and Eleanor skip graduation. And they literally drive off into the sunset. And then, like, the post-credit scenes, we see Drea apologizes to Russ. They get back together. We see Eleanor. I guess she kind of, like, she sets up, like, supposed to be a grand gesture, but then she falls asleep for the other lesbian girl. And then they kiss. We see that. And then it's kind of over. So, last thing, we see that, Max, he joins a toxic masculinity support group, which is kind of funny. So the reason why I'm like not sure how I feel about the movies, because like I'm not quite sure what the lesson was, because I guess the lesson is like real friendship. I think it feels like one of those movies that was just written like there's no lesson, like it's just watch people do different acts. Because, like, Eleanor was crazy. She was very crazy. This was very chaotic. Drea, like, was selfish, narcissistic. I'm definitely going to watch some other people's reviews when this is over and just see, like, what am I missing? Because when I'm finished recording this, because I'm like, there was no lesson. I don't feel the lesson here. But I will say, Drea being the actually Carissa and Eleanor playing her that whole time, that is what bumped it up from a 2.5 to a 3. Realizing that there was no real theme, or there was no real like lesson or whatever, that put it back down to a 2.7. It's not a 2.5, but it's not a 3 either. So I'm giving it a 2.7. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good either. I will say I love the clothes, love the fashion. I love seeing like some of the parallels. I've seen a couple of things online about like, oh, this is from this movie from the 2000s. This is from this movie from the 2000s. I like that. That was fun and cool. And it was just, I guess it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like recently I'm just used to movies like having like a very strong, like, okay, this was the message. But I just don't understand what the message was. Maybe like I'm just not getting it. What is the message? Like what are they teaching me? What is this supposed to be? You know? Yeah, well that's Do Revenge. Let me know what do you guys think. Did you like the movie? I didn't dislike it, but it also isn't like a 4 or 5. And it's not a 3, but it's also not a 2.5 either. I don't know, you guys. You tell me how you feel about it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please like it and share with your friends. Bye.